originally for profit, but she wants to work with non-for-profits.
Gotcha. So she wants to be a consultant supporting non-for-profits?
Yes.
All right. So I'll show you. Yeah. I mean, that is really just prospecting and reaching out to nonprofits. But I'll tell you a good place to look. Let me see if I can pull this up. I touched on it yesterday, where a lot of money flows to nonprofits. So they will be getting money to do. Oh, I think I'm spelling this wrong. So what the heck is this? Hold on. So Innoweave, oh, it's .ca. So Innoweave is a division of the McConnell Foundation. And so the McConnell Foundation gives grants to nonprofits. I think they're like a $2 billion foundation. So Innoweave is like the, what would you call it? Like the social enterprise arm of it, like supporting nonprofits and starting social enterprises. So your cousin, or sorry, was it your sister or your cousin?
My sister.
Yes. So your sister now, there's nonprofits that are going after these streams. So they need consultants to help them with these areas. And so what she can do is actually become a coach on here, and nonprofits would be able to see her services. So all the nonprofits that are going after the Innoweave funding, they need to spend the money on consultants. So they can look here, or you can just reach out to them. And what I also mentioned was that your sister can help them get the grant. So she would be like plugged into this, or through you plugged into what I'm doing. So they would see like what grants are out there, and then her assisting them getting the grant would then they'd be able to pay for her services.
So,
So you'll see
because like
here.
what we were thinking was that we would apply for an equity grant for her because she touches on equity and racism and all sorts of other things. And we would like just to help her start the business, build the business kind of thing. Cause she's always been sitting on the, she's working for corporate companies and stuff like that. She wants to branch out on her own and, you know, have her do her own thing. So we wanted to apply for a grant
Yeah, I
for
mean that's
her.
always. Mhm.
Oh, you
Yeah, because
frozen.
a grant. Oh, did I? Sorry. Maybe it's sucking up too much energy. Let me know when I'm back.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yep,
Okay.
you're
Yes,
back.
we can hear you, Ryan.
So that's where one path is for her to structure her own business and operations. And if she can get a grant for that, that's great. But the other path is really to start working with nonprofits to build up
Nonprofits
the her expertise, so
and get her
then
name out
she can
there.
now help them get the money to pay her. Exactly.
Okay.
So her getting a grant for that, I feel like that's the longer road. She should just,
Mm-hmm.
hey, look, there's 400 people that signed up to this challenge and are going through it. I'm doing my best to get them money. And when they get that money, they need to spend it with somebody. So if
Mm-hmm.
she is an option, she should just reach out and say, listen, this is what I can do. If you bump into any nonprofits that need this, I will point them to her.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool, cool. Yeah, no sweat. So let me jump into our session for today.
I just wanted to say to Lisa, this is Dion. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm actually going to have to jump off. I have a class training, and in 2 minutes they're back. But I'm glad if for nothing, I got this piece of information. Thanks a lot, Ryan. your sister, their agencies, especially government agencies and organizations that gets funding from government, there is a roster. I haven't pulled it up. Someone told me about it yesterday, that you can get the long list. These people, they all have to apply for their grants yearly. And that would be a pretty good way, because the deck is stacked pretty much with everyone who is currently in the system that's getting funding, whether private or government funding. They said, I think it was, I'll drop my email in the chat and you can link with me, and I'll get the details, because I heard about it just last night.
Tim, thank you.
Excellent.
I'll pass it on to you to give to her. Okay.
Yeah, that's excellent. And that's where the money is flowing. So she has expertise to support nonprofit, reaching out, and because if it's something that especially they got money specifically to do or to support their nonprofit with, she can plug right in.
Okay. Also, Ryan, this will be forwarded to us later. Correct?
Yes, you mean the template or the recording?
Recording.
Yes, it'll be sent out again.
Alrighty, thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
No problem. Always good seeing you, Dion. All right, so you'll see here, it is templated from the Youth Opportunities Fund. So like I mentioned yesterday, they don't use the spreadsheet or the budget template anymore, because it all moved online. And so you put in all the information online, but now you can use the structure to really be a template for yourself. That way, any projects that you're working on, you can actually map it out using this work plan. And this is where it's very specific to what you need it for. So coming into the template, making a copy of it and walking through. Again, as I'm walking through it, you can fill out yours and bullet points. It doesn't have to be fully like sentences, or you don't have to know every single thing that is happening in your project, but this gives you a way to outline the timelines. So a big thing that I've seen for myself, when I was first going for grants, is I would apply but not really know how to structure it and organize what's happening. So for Detailing Nights, we provide the mobile car cleaning, so the eco-friendly, and we do car cleaning, but then the youth entrepreneurship portion of it, we would work with students to teach them entrepreneurship, go through curriculum of what does it take to start your own business, how do you market yourself, how do you actually do the cleaning. It was all kind of connected together. So in order to be successful with the grant, so the first times that we applied, it was all together. So the car cleaning side of it and the teaching was all in the one application. And so when I worked with a grant writer, she realized that you have to separate out the actual program that your company is doing. And then she helped me put it into this work plan. So now when you're running a program, these are things that I wasn't thinking of as like a business owner. What does it take to actually develop the curriculum? So you want to put time in your work plan to say, we are actually going to spend X amount of time developing what it is that we're doing. So you'll see in here, and actually, let me see if it is showing everything. Yeah, so this is where you're developing your onboarding process. What types of need, like doing a needs assessment, are you gonna have handouts that you're giving out during the program? Is there a final evaluation that you're doing with the participants? Are they getting a certificate of completion? So that program development, you want to give time to that, because if you don't mention it, the loan reviewer, the grant reviewer is going to look at your application and ask that question right up front. It's like, well, they want money to run this program, but when are they going to spend time to develop it? And I've seen, I mean, my application was declined, and I know I did not include that in the first couple of attempts. So making sure that that was included answers that question. And you'll see the work plan is really to make the person looking at your application as less confused as possible. You want to make it streamlined questions that they would ask. You want to be able to get it into your work plan. So before the program even starts, you have to look at what does it take to now launch this program. And really, program development review, what's in here, you can really just keep. If there's other things that are missing, feel free to edit it, and then identifying how long it would take to do that. In the resources section, you would look at who is responsible for that specific job. So with program development, we had our director involved, the manager involved, the secretary was helping with admin, and if we had other volunteers, they were in there as well. And then this is where, what are the things that are going to happen in this time frame? So we wanted to connect with, at that time, our organizational mentor and YOF to finalize things. We were going to review and develop the curriculum. We're going to figure out what activities that we're doing. Did I put that twice? Yeah, I did put that twice. Review and develop curriculum is there twice. All right. And then researching, and why is this here twice? Oh, they were helping. Sorry. These are tasks for each person. So you'll see the director, they're helping with reviewing and connection with the YOF. The manager, they're helping with developing the activities and the curriculum. Secretary also helping with that and doing a full project outline. So that's the sequence for each milestone. So the milestone you'll see at the beginning is the program development. So this is before the program starts, you're actually going to develop what it is. How long it will take, you can put that. So we had it twice because we had 2 cohorts for the year, who's in charge and what they're responsible for. The next section that typically is missed, I mean, we usually put the line item of marketing, but you really want to break down what that outreach looks like. So for outreach, we were doing social media and in person. We're looking for a specific type of youth, which are African or Afrocentric youth in our community. And we were in Peel at the time. So how long would that take? Because the cohort was going to start in August. So now this is where it tells the story of what you're doing. Between May and July, we're developing the program. Also between May and July, which this actually should be June, July, because that first month, you're really not doing outreach yet. You could, but I would save it to the June and July before the cohort starts, which is August, to say this is where we will have our materials done and be able to now go into the market and tell people about it and onboard them into the program. So you'll see you'll map out who's in charge of this specific task. We had put it that our manager, the secretary, we needed a space that we were going to be running the program out of, and we needed materials in order to promote the program. So this is where each person, again, who's going to be in charge of what. The secretary is in charge of responding to emails, doing outreach, registering, confirming the location. So the outreach milestone is now in the timeline, and you know who's going to be in charge of it. So this is where sometimes we do the work plan before the budget, but really the budget, you need to know how much money you are going to need. And that's where you typically are doing it at the same time as the work plan, because you need to know who's going to be in charge of what. I see a lot of nonprofits put in applications and really it's them by themselves doing all of the roles. So if a grant reviewer is seeing that you're the main person for the team that is handling all roles, they're going to assume that it's overwhelming and decline your application. So you really want to show that you have a strong team, and then the work plan helps you explain what role each team member is doing. So that way it's clear. Again, it's not confusing. They don't feel like you're missing gaps. The work plan helps you to really just flush out as clear as day what you want to accomplish and who's doing what and when you're doing it. So you'll see now we touched on the execution of the actual program. So this is where, for business owners, when we're writing grants that are business specific, it's pretty simple. You don't usually need a work plan. You typically have your business plan and your cash flow projections. But when you're shifting more into like the full grant realm and going after different types of grants that are similar to the Youth Opportunities Fund, or not just about getting money to help you do marketing, you really need to know what is the project, or what is the program, and what does that section of execution look like? Because it's not all about just running your business and making sales. You're actually doing this community work. And we were talking about this with the shifting to social enterprise. So how are you positively impacting the community? It can't just be every so often we do a workshop. It's nice, and it still qualifies, like you're running your business, you're using your profits to do these workshops, but you want it to be structured if you're actually going after funding. And that's what I noticed we were missing with the initial attempts we did with Detailing Nights, is the youth program was kind of just lumped into business operations. So you really have to pull out the community aspect of what you're doing so that it's structured, and this work plan will help you do that. And then when you have an execution strategy to say, instead of we do workshops once a month when I can, it's we're going to do a structured 12-week program. And through those 12 weeks, it happens between August and October. And the second one, does it show the second one? Let's see. Yes. And then the second one was between February and April. How many people do you want in the program? Outline that. Who are the people in charge? So you'll see the directors involved, they would facilitate some workshops. The managers involved, they would print and distribute handouts. The secretaries involved, they would be observing sessions, keeping minutes. You needed food, space, supplies, and the honorariums for the participants that were coming through. So these are typical questions that now our grant reviewers are going to ask, to say, when this program is happening, who's in charge of what role, what things do you need, and how long is it going to be, when is it happening? Those are all the questions that if you don't answer it up front, they are going to ask. And if the answer is not there, clear as day, typically applications would get declined. So this is where, for our program, we had a group presentation. Let me see if make sure that this is fully open. Oops. Why is this thing not opening? Oh, I think it's open. All right. So this is, again, the youth that were going through our curriculum. We're being trained on how to do presentations. So every so often, I believe it was once a month. Yeah, so each month they would have a specific day that they're practicing their presentation skills.
Ryan, may I ask you a question?
Oh, sure, yes.
Thank you. For the positions that you have here, are they already all filled, or are these positions that you're looking to fill and some of them are filled already?
So when we applied, they were not filled. So we were putting in funding to hire these positions, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And then this is where we're outlining that we're gonna have guest speakers. This is not full. All right, and they would get an honorarium. And again, supplies and transportation. So what we included as well was the youth being able to get one-on-one sessions. So again, in each cohort, 10 youth are going to get one-on-one. And who was doing this? I think it was right, the director, the manager, and the secretary was similar to overseeing it. We provided the transportation. So as I'm outlining this, I know it seems tedious and it's like kind of straightforward. If you say that you're going to run a program, hey, for 12 weeks, all of this would happen within the program. But if you only leave it to just talking about the overarching elements of what you're going to cover, questions come up. There's like, oh, who's facilitating? Are there volunteers? Is it only students just sitting down and listening? Is there interactivity? So these are all things, again, that were asked at the first time that we failed. And so we now put it into the work plan to say, no, they get one-on-one coaching. And you'll notice this section, it was in the application. We had said that they were going to do like one-on-ones and get that kind of support. And we're going to increase their self-esteem by teaching them presentation skills. But the first time I applied, it wasn't in this work plan. So those questions came up. It's like, well, how are you going to, or when are you going to teach presentation skills? When are you going to do one-on-ones? All of those things started to come up. So when a grant reviewer starts asking questions, typically, well, what I noticed are grant reviewers are reading grant applications, looking for things to decline them. When you have when you have a better relationship with grant reviewers, you'll see the shift in their mindset goes to reading your application and looking for things to help it get approved. So when you're having your follow-up calls with any funder that you apply to, you'll notice the types of questions that they ask are typical of looking and trying to identify any negative thing in your application. So you want to be able to build your relationship with the funder to get them to the point where even if some things are off, they're looking for the positive. And for me, it took at least 2 attempts with the YOF, the Youth Opportunities Fund, to shift that mindset to, here's Ryan's application again. Okay, let's get it through, instead of, oh, what is this new idea? It doesn't sound like it'll work. And these are things that I heard firsthand, well, from the person, because there's like always a layer between the people that review it and the people that you get to talk to. So they're relaying the information and saying like, oh, it sounds great, but it seems difficult to teach entrepreneurship. How would you do that? What is this car cleaning thing? All these elements of doubt the reviewers are asking. So you want to remove all that doubt. And it took a while to kind of dig through that, but eventually we got there. And you really have to do that for every funder. So YOF is just one, and there's hundreds. And right now, I think there's 4 or 5 that are open. What type of relationships do you have with Digital Main Street? I did hear some people had already gone through other grants they have. So you're in the system and they know of you. It'll make it easier for you to now go after the other funding. So all of this is elements of grant writing that I think is usually missed. I know a lot of people will hear about a grant and apply for it and get declined and feel like they were wronged. And hey, even if your application is great, remember that grants are highly competitive. So now going into a competitive landscape where, let's say 50% of the organizations that are applying are known to the funder, they've gotten previous grants, and they've been successful executing those programs. And the other 50% are new. Even if the quality of the applications is the same across the board, those 50% with the relationship are going to get the grant ahead of the 50% without. It's very rare that I've seen new applicants that don't have a relationship with the funder get it over another organization that does have a relationship. Typically, they have to expand the pie so that 50% money is there for them, and then they can allow like another 10% of new applicants to get in. Hopefully that changes eventually, but really we do it in everything that we transact. We look for relationships, we transact with people that we know and trust. So it's not going to be any different with this grant world. Unfortunately, it's a lot bigger money, and we have to do that hard work to really get our foot in the door, but it's worth the hard work. And again, our team is here to help with that along the way. A couple things just to wrap up this section. We did want to do a celebration event. And again, this was something that I missed the last time when I first applied. So in 2014 and 2015, we had applied for the same grant and were declined. So in the application, we said we wanted to do an event, but we didn't include it in the work plan. So the question that came back was, oh, I see money is going to be spent on this event. What is it about? When is it happening? The more questions that the reviewer asked, it is troublesome. So you want to map it out. So we were able to put it in and then map out when we're doing the evaluation. And none of this is, I'd say you don't have to go deep into detail for anything that's in the work plan. It's really just identifying, this is a milestone for what we want to do. This is what it would take to execute. We're expecting 10 youth, 40 staff plus guests. We need food for X amount of people. We need the space to do it. We need a sound system. We're going to give an honorarium to the DJ. It's really creating that mini project for what you want to execute and showing them that you've thought it through. And this also helps with your budget, because now you know you need funding for space, you need funding for honorariums, you need funding for food. So that's where it connects to the budget, that connects to the application. Because the application talks about all of it, the budget says this is what it's going to cost, and the work plan says these are where we're using all these budget items throughout the year. And you'll see the evaluation, again, pretty straightforward. Who's going to be assisting with the evaluation, when in the calendar year it's happening. So we had it happening twice because we had 2 cohorts. Let me make sure that this is open. And so as you're working through this, I like to give the template because you can adjust and edit it, where knowing when your program is going to start, you can kind of use the same flow where you want program development, you want to reach out and recruit, you want to execute the program, a couple key milestones in the program, and then you want to have an ending to the event. And putting dates to that makes it easier to edit. So you don't need to have 4 staff or 3 staff, a director, manager, secretary. If it can be done with 1 person, I wouldn't recommend that, but at least 2 people, if yourself as the director overseeing it and a manager that is coordinating everything, and then you both share the admin duties. But if there's enough grant funding there to have 3 people, I would split that out, director, manager, and secretary, and then volunteers. So that's the run through of the work plan. And again, I know it can be heavy, but just go section by section. What pre-planning do you need to do? Program development. What do you need to actually execute it and outreach? And then how are you going to end it off? So let me pause there and see if there's any specific questions about the work plan and what I was just discussing. And I apologize, Charmaine, I can't see the chat. So if there's questions in the chat, if you can grab that. All right, is this?
I've been doing, Ryan. I've been reposting the spreadsheet for those who came in late. So I've been trying to ensure that everyone who came in late has received it. Not seeing any question in the chat yet, but I'll let you know.
Okay, wonderful. And yeah, so I'm hoping this template is as straightforward as possible. If you do get stuck, please let us know. But really, 90% of the grants that I've seen ask for, they want to know this walkthrough. What does the flow, what does the timeline look like? So even if you don't have to put it into a spreadsheet and you just have to put it into the application, doing it in the spreadsheet, at least it helps me kind of visually see what does the full program look like, and then you can convert it into the application if it doesn't give you the ability to upload the spreadsheet. But really, this maps it out, makes it easier to tell the story and tell how the program is going to flow. And it helps for businesses to pull out the great programming and support that you do in the community and turn it into its own project. And it helped us actually start a nonprofit that really I didn't realize I could do, because you're usually just doing the work and hey, you see a gap and you feel like you want to help, but structuring it in a way that it can get funds on its own could be an option as well. But again, I don't want to overload you with trying to run your business and trying to run a nonprofit, because that is really heavy, and I wouldn't wish it on you if you don't have a strong team around you. But that is a way to be able to go after funding for your business and also go after nonprofit funding so that you can really support all the operations that you do. All right, so I'll stop sharing there.
Ryan, CY had asked that same question. What if you don't have a strong team? What would you do?
So that's where getting funding to bring on a team, it kind of starts there. But if you don't have a strong team, it's tricky, because a lot of times the team isn't strong because you start out with volunteers, and volunteers can only give a certain amount of their energy into like your initiative. So you have to work with what they're able to give you. And then when you're able to resource them, I find you get a lot more energy or a bigger percentage of their focus. So if they're just volunteers, you really have to take what you get and work with it in order to get additional resources and start to grow the organization. I do see Jaisel, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, hello. Thank you, Ryan, for hosting this event today. It's actually very informative. And thank you for taking my question. The question I have is, well, what I noticed is that there was a strong focus on, the outputs, the activities, and the process evaluation. When it comes to outcomes, the impact and the evaluation, the outcome evaluation, how important is that to include that at this stage?
You wouldn't have to go into detail when going through the work plan. It would be more in the application, identifying, so what does that evaluation look like? What metrics are you trying to track? And then how are you going to track those? So in the evaluation or in the work plan and the budget, you wouldn't have to go into detail to say, here are all the things that we're looking for. I mean, you could mention it in that section that talks about roles and responsibilities, but really that fits more in the full application to say like what you're looking for.
And the full application, that's where we're looking, that's where we're including the short-term, intermediate, and long-term outcomes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, okay, great. Thank you so much.
All right. Somebody did ask, are you able to go back to listen to the Zoom? Yes. So this is being recorded. So the link, once it's rendered, will be emailed out and also posted into the Facebook group for you to watch it at your leisure. All right. And will we get some resource docs as shared, including organizations providing grants? Right. So there was a funding spreadsheet that we supported or supplied that we try to keep as updated as possible to show what grants are currently available. And tomorrow will be the day that we go deeper into what's currently active and what we should be applying for. But that spreadsheet kind of gives an overview. And also the template, this one that we were looking at, you're able to use that to, so that has been shared as well. And the grant writing blueprint document. So you should have got the funding spreadsheet, the Word document that allows you to answer questions and save it as a template for your own blueprint, and then the budget template and the work plan template.
Just send the template to Ife. Ife was asking. Great. Okay.
Yes. And I was trying to figure out a way to upload them into the Facebook group as well. So they would be there, but there's been a series of emails that has each of these resources. So I'll probably do a final before Friday, just a recap email that has the blueprint, the funding spreadsheet, the and this template which has the budget and the work plan in it, just so you have it in one place.
Lisa's on the top.
Yes, go ahead, Lisa.
Oh, sorry. I on the budget template, when you have the years listed, so do you list each year what will be done in each year for the budget? Like if you're doing a 3-year budget?
Yes. So for that one, we were doing it for 1 year. And if we were going to do it for multiple years, it would have been a copy and paste. If there's like very different outcomes or different milestones that you have in year 2 or year 3, then the work plan, you'd be able to add those in. So do it for each year, and the budget as well, you'd be able to do it for each year, just in case there's changes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. No problemo. All right. Okay, like I said, this is the best time to ask questions, or I can give you 15 minutes back to your afternoon, but I'm here, I will be here until 2, just to make sure that if any questions you actually, let me check the agenda first, make sure I didn't forget anything. What was I supposed to cover today? All right, so the core
Ryan,
elements of the work plan.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, yes,
I
go
do
ahead.
have a quick question about something you touched on, building relationships with the funders. How would you suggest going about that? Does that mean setting up meetings prior to the grant being released, following up with them, having them review the grant? What are some suggestions you would have in terms of building that relationship?
Yeah, and let me see if I can find it in real time so you can see what I'm talking about. So with OTF, typically when you go to their website and you're looking for grant funding, so let's see. So if you come here, you're looking at our grants, and let's say you're going for the Youth Opportunities Fund, and let's say you're going for the Youth Innovations Test Grant. So this is the one that we had, this is the first major one that we had gotten back in 2016. So you'll see now you can get 85,000, but there's a way. So here's where you start to build relationship with the funder. Attending one of the information webinars, and then booking a one-on-one coaching call. So that coaching call, you're able to now outline the concept of what you want to do, get initial feedback, because they'll tell you if you're totally off base or if it's something that doesn't really sound like what they're funding. They'll help you figure out what stream, because typically they would have priority income or priority outcomes. So you'd want to understand, where does your project fit into these priority outcomes? So if it's like, if you say that you want to create a safe space, but then what you're talking about to them is talking more about the youth in the justice system, they would help you kind of focus on the right outcome. Because I've seen, and I have had past applications declined just because of that misalignment, where we were talking about one of the outcomes, but what we were delivering or wanting to deliver actually fit somewhere else, and they won't move it for you. They will just decline it and say, we're confused because it sounds like something else. And so I've seen that happen. So this is a big piece that you want to be clear on. And then that way, after you apply, you can actually follow up with them. So one with the first session, and then a second one, I would say before you apply, when you've more flushed it out. And then if it's approved or if it's declined, if it's approved, I mean, hey, it's all good. If it's declined, you can also book another call to say, like, hey, what happened? I would like to get feedback. And that's where you're starting to really make yourself known to this funder about your project. So attending their webinars, and it was really good when they were in person, and they're probably going to get back to that because they see you, and the people that are in charge of it get to know what you're doing. And I feel like that was a big reason that we were successful on our third, was it second? It might have been our second or third attempt, was because I was visible. I called them, I talked to them, and you put some pressure too, because don't feel like, hey, they're what they say, well, it is the last word in approval sense, but you can start to put pressure about why it was declined and really understand, or try to understand the process and see, hey, if you're a good fit, they have the money that's supposed to support you. So putting pressure on them starts with that constant engagement.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Yes, my pleasure. All right. So yes, as I mentioned, I was checking the agenda to make sure that, okay, so core elements of a work plan, yes. What timeline to use for the project, yes. How to tell a story with your work plan, yes. And the balance between too little detail and too much detail. And that actually came up with Jaycel's question around, in the work plan, do you have to go into the nitty gritty of what you're executing? I would say no. You would want to keep it high level and just what resources and roles and responsibilities are needed to execute that milestone. You would go deeper into that milestone in the actual application to say, like, hey, if we're doing evaluation at this time of the project, this is what we're looking for. This is how we're going to track it. And if you're using a third party, this is who we're hiring to actually do the evaluation and the social impact measurement. But yeah, you don't have to go too deep into the work plan description. All right. And Winnie did mention, I keep getting denied grants. I know I qualify, so it is discouraging, and I agree with that. I just want to get a grant writer now and align myself accordingly. Not to worry, it is a game of persistence. So I wouldn't get fully discouraged where you stop. If we can offer assistance and see what are you applying for, maybe there's a misalignment with what they're funding and what you can execute, but happy to dig deeper into that and see, yeah, what grants are out there that, one, you qualify for, and two, maybe it's building that relationship with the funder to now make sure that the next time you apply, they know who you are, they know what you're working on, and the probability of success goes up. Because every single time, especially if you're going for the same grant, you want to increase the percentage of success. And so you don't want to just take an application that you put in before and put it in again, because you really haven't done anything to increase that probability. A lot of times the competition that you're going after, again, they're applying again too. And if they were successful last time, they have a one up on you. So you really have to figure out, how are you going to get on the same level playing field with the rest of the competition and stand out. All right. Cool, cool. Oh, Rosanna, I did see your hand up there. Feel free to go ahead.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good afternoon, everyone. And thanks again, Ryan, for this. It's been really great. I'm a very hands-on person, and I'm not gonna lie. It may seem as if it's good information overload. So if I wanted to partner up with someone where we can do this together, is that service available? Because that will suit me over a cup of tea or something. You know what I mean? I'm just wondering if something like that is available for people like myself, and I want to believe there are others on this call that's just like me. Is that available?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say officially creating like the smaller meetups, but one, that's why we tried to do it in the Facebook group. So you would be able to connect with others and say like, listen, I heard what Ryan was talking about, but I just need to like meet up with somebody that's also hearing it and work through it. 100% that's valid. What we would do is working groups where we would find a grant that we all want to apply for, and then kind of go through the questions together, and over a course of a few meetings, make sure that we get that application in. So we haven't set up any working groups just yet. The investment readiness program was one that we were going to do it for. But other than that, I haven't seen any grant that we can kind of go through step by step. So that is one way that we do it. But I would encourage you, yeah, make the post and say, listen, I'd love to meet up with anybody else that is going after grants, and just talk about the resources that we got and work through it together.
Awesome. I like that. I like that response, because there's one that I think that I would also like, because the purpose of my job is also youth and young adult focus, right? But it's for everyone. That's my first that's my first niche, and this, I'm seeing that this grant, the OTF, that seem as though it may also benefit me. So I like that. Okay, so I will read, and do I send the message out to you or to Charmaine?
Either. And if you're in the Facebook group, I will put it there as well. But yeah, if you send it to me, and I'll put my email into the chat. So that way you can send it direct. Oh, where's my email? That's Charmaine, if you wanted to put your email.
You sent that yesterday, didn't you? You sent your email yesterday, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you could respond to that one.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
I'll put mine in the chat as well. And Jaylee's asking, I need a grant writer. Where do I go? Lisa, after that, Lisa has her hand up.
Yeah, so tomorrow we can talk more about the actual services that we offer. Again, if you book, yesterday we had put my calendar link to book and talk deeper about your specific situation, what grants and funding is available. Always happy to do that. What I really want to do with this challenge is give you as much of the information that I have as possible. So really, you could walk away from this with the resources that you have, and at least create your blueprint on your own. And then you could bring on a grant writer to, I would say, like, fine tune it and, add the meat, but that way it'll be a lot less expensive, because you're not asking a grant writer or their team to start from scratch and really build the entire application for you. So I would sit with what you've got so far. Again, always here to chat, and you can book a meeting, but then maybe next week where you see, okay, I've been able to work on this for a bit. This is a grant that I'm going for. Now I could use a grant writer to support really fine tuning it and finalizing it before you apply. So yeah, we can definitely connect you to grant writers is the short answer, but go see them more prepared. And Lisa, yeah, you can go ahead.
Hi, Ryan. On the applications, when they ask you what your demographic is, like if we're trying to serve a large demographic, is it better to just let them know that, or should we pick something more specific? Should we go after youth? Should we go after women? Is it better to? We want to help everybody, but when they're asking those questions, they want specifics, right?
Yeah, and niching down does create an element of uniqueness. So if you put everybody, a lot of people typically might do that. But if you identify, you're able to support everybody, but now the segment of the population that actually needs the most support, if you focus there and not a lot of other people that are applying are focusing there, you would actually stand out and be able to get funding easier than if you just lumped it into everything, because now you're really just part of the, I'll say, the general applications that they see. And they now create funding that are very specific to certain populations of the community that are disadvantaged. So you don't want to come in too general because it'll lock you out of those additional funding opportunities.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So yes.
WH asking for group link. Which group link is that?
Oh, I'll grab it. So we are in this Facebook group called the Grant Writing Mini Group. Hold on. Oh, so I'll put it into the chat. Oh, did it come through? Or did I send it to you, Charmaine? Or did it come through?
To everyone, to everyone.
Is there? Okay.
Yes, it's there to everyone.
Perfect. Who's there? Oh, Janelle, can go ahead.
Hi, Ryan. Just a quick question about the investment readiness program. Is there a link that I can see the past recipients of the grants?
Yes, there is. Let me see if I can grab this in real time now. Actually, I'll share my screen so you can see how I typically find grants and information. So the investment readiness program, this one about the investment readiness program. So this one is talking about, and when you Google search it, it typically comes up. Let's see. So if you Google search investment readiness program 2022, this one where it talks about it is the most up-to-date information. When you scroll down, you'll see one of the readiness support partners. The main one that gave out the grants last cycle was the Community Foundations of Canada. And then if you go to their initiatives, it's actually one of the current initiatives. And when you scroll down, so you'll see the investment readiness program. And these other ones around it are other grants that they do give out. But the investment readiness is one of the best ones I've seen that support for-profit companies. So now when you're on their page and you scroll down, you'll see where it says round 1 and round 2 results. The round 1 results actually shows a better spreadsheet of who got funded. So you'll see, when you go down, and what I noticed that was interesting is only 4.3% of racialized people got funded in the first round. And here's the full list of results. So there was 25 that got funded. And you'll see ACBN was one of them in that first cycle, but not a lot of Black focused organizations. I think ACOMA is Black focused, but who else? Yeah.
And this is in the first round?
Right. So then if you go back to the second round, oh, I have to go back. Oh, sorry. I'll put this link here in the chat. All right. But then the round 2 results, they didn't put like a spreadsheet like how we saw. It was only the map. So the map wasn't really user friendly. And you'll see that it's not even opening right now. Okay. So yeah, this map. Yeah. So they didn't really show a good list.
Oh, okay.
And this map, I can't really see anything. So round 1, you can find who got funded. Round 2 is a bit more tricky.
Okay, because when I was looking through it on the Ontario website of like their different round of recipients, I saw that it was like it was primarily social enterprises. So
like primarily nonprofits or for-profits?
Primarily it was nonprofits from what I saw, and they were social enterprises, not like any sort of businesses that gave out like that were product focused, that were not social enterprise focused. That's from what I saw. So I just wanted to see if there was like something else where we saw like for-profit businesses that maybe just partnered with a social enterprise, if there was anything like that, but I didn't really see any.
Yeah, not from, I was trying to research each of the recipients to see what they do, but because some of them were new and some of them had nothing to do with business, there weren't a lot of business nonprofit collaborations that I saw.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Again, as I say, I'm always really appreciative of you being present, showing up, and being with me as I go through this. Like, you know what? Who said it was like overwhelming good information? So, sorry that it's overwhelming, but sit with it. Hey, sleep on it, come back to it piece by piece. And I promise you, within 7 to 14 days, if you just tackle one section at a time, it'll get done. And then it is done. And you're really just adding to it and fine tuning it. So thank you so much for being here. Yes.
That was me, Brian. It was good information overload. It was good information overload. That's what I said.
I'm gonna use that as a tagline. Like, join us for good information overload.
Blessings, blessings, blessings.
I love it. I love it. But thank you so much. So yes, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll dig deeper into which grants are currently open, how to really tie everything together when you're submitting applications. But yeah, it's time to find the money, and it's our objective to increase that percentage of success. So again, thank you for taking the time. And if you don't have the invite, it's going to come in an email for tomorrow. So you'll get it. And if you aren't getting my emails, put your email into the chat and I'll add you for tomorrow. All right.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
My pleasure. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
My pleasure. Good to see you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
Ryan, I have a quick question. Is there like a database in regards to, I guess, like, I want to say like mentors for different type of businesses that maybe one could utilize?
Yeah, I know there's been a couple that started, but I don't know if they got fully off the ground. Because even with ACBN, we were trying to put together that mentor database. I'll touch base with the Canadian Black Chamber of Commerce and see how far along they are. But yeah, I haven't seen it fully flushed out just yet. but it has been in process.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I have somebody that actually just inquired with me. They were like, oh, because I told them that I was doing this. And they're like, please involve me. I want help too for my business. And I was like, that's great.
Yes.
But they were also saying that, it would have been nice just to have a mentor in their industry to kind of, lean on in regards to certain questions and things like that. So I thought I'd kind of just, give you the question and see. But yeah, I will let them know.
Excellent. Yeah, that definitely needs to be put in place and organized sooner than later. So looking forward to that. And again, I'll follow up with that.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, no worries.
Bye.
All right, have a good rest of the day, everyone. See you tomorrow. Let's get ready for the true grant hunting.
Okay, have a good evening.